Hi, everyone, and welcome to the 11th week of creative writing. I am your teacher, Hayleigh Worgan, and I'm coming to you today from Bookish, actually, which is in downtown Fort Smith. And so if you see me put my mask on kind of quickly, it's because we have someone come in, and so I want to be safe. But otherwise, everything should be pretty normal today. I do want to go ahead and say Happy Poetry Month. It is April, so April is National Poetry Month. And this month, we're going to be reading work from famous poets and creating new masterpieces of our own. So, we will not be abandoning our characters just yet from the previous weeks, but we will be branching out from them a little bit. So, today we are going to begin by building the foundations for narrative poems about an imaginary house. And before we do that on our own, I thought we should read this example of a poem about a house. It's by Henry Wadsworth Longfellow, and it's called Haunted Houses. All houses wherein men have lived and died are haunted houses. Through the open doors, the harmless phantoms on their errands glide with feet that make no sound upon the floors. We meet them at the door, on the way to the stair. Along the passages they come and go, impalpable impressions on the air, a sense of something moving to and fro. There are more guests at the table than hosts. Invited, the illuminated hall is thronged with quiet, inoffensive ghosts, as silent as the pictures on the wall. The stranger at my friend's fireside cannot see the forms I see, nor hear the sounds I hear. He but perceives what is, while unto me all that has been is visible and clear. We have no title deeds to house or lands, owners and occupants of earlier dates. From graves forgotten stretch their dusty hands, and hold in mortmain still their old estate. The spirit world around this world of sense floats like an atmosphere, and everywhere wafts through these earthly mists and vapors dense a vital breath of more ethereal air. Our little lives are kept in equipoise by opposite attractions and desires, the struggle of the instinct that enjoys, and the more noble instinct that aspires. These perturbations, this perpetual jar of earthly wants and aspirations high, come from the influence of an unseen star, an undiscovered planet in our sky. As the moon from some dark gate of cloud throws o'er the sea a floating bridge of light, across whose trembling planks our fancies crowd into the realm of mystery and night. So from the world of spirits there descends a bridge of light connecting it with this, o'er whose unsteady floor that sways and bends, wander our thoughts above the dark abyss. Okay, so there is a lot to unpack there. Now, when we talk about this poem by Henry Wadsworth Longfellow, obviously Longfellow is discussing the ghosts that inhabit these former houses, right? So, in order to really tap into our creative side about the ghosts that could inhabit these former houses, we have to be able to really take a look at the images we see before us and discuss the things that we see, the things that you could possibly hear, the things that you smell, the things that you feel, the things that you taste in these rooms. So, what I would like to do this week is begin part one of an assignment that's going to carry over into next week. This assignment is called Home. And over the next 2 weeks, we are going to be writing a poem about a home. Now, it might be a lot easier to write a poem about your own home. I know it certainly would be a lot easier to write a poem about my home or the homes I've loved before, right? Um, but I want to challenge you to write about a setting that is more unfamiliar to you. So I have built an imaginary home for you guys out of photos. And each photo has a question I'd like for you to answer with it, and we're going to use your answers to write a poem next week. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen here. Okay, let's see here. And I want to go ahead and just make this a little bit bigger. Okay, so here is room one. I want you to describe an object in this photo in detail. Choose any single object and create a small background story for it if you want. I'd like this to be at least 3 to 5 sentences, but you can definitely go over it, guys. That's no problem at all. And I do want you to see with this image, I'm going to include them in a slide presentation so you can kind of zoom in and pick little things out. There are tons of tiny objects you can use to describe in this photo, and I'm going to give you an example of one at the end of this presentation. The second room I want you to look at is this one. And for this room, I'd like you to describe the lighting, shadows, colors, and any vibrancy you see in this room. And then tell me what mood does it create, right? So this response should be 2 to 3 sentences at least. Next, for room three, I'd like you to describe the sounds in this room. What might you hear in this room? So obviously many of you are going to talk about the running water. However, I do challenge you to consider other sounds that are common to a room like this one. And this response should be 2 to 3 sentences at least. Again, you can do more than that, but definitely try to do 2 to 3 sentences at least. Room number four. In this room, I would like you to come up with at least 3 to 4 questions you have about this image. So, what does it make you wonder? You can ask specific questions about what might happen in this room. You can ask specific questions about the objects you see. Get creative here. Okay? Room number five. What or how do you feel about what you see here? Now, this response should be 2 to 5 sentences in length. I know that you're probably not going to be able to come up with a lot more than that. It's a very simple image, but this image should create some type of feeling. If you were to stare at this image, if you were to see it in person, what might you be feeling as you looked at this image? Think about how the lights and the colors make you feel, okay? And finally, room number six. Now, this is a much more desolate room. It's kind of sad looking, but a lot of life could have happened in this room, you guys. So I want you to think about what your original character from the previous exercises might feel in this room. And this response should be at least 2 to 3 sentences, 3 to 5 sentences in length, but you can go over that as well. Okay, so I'm going to give you an example of potential answers you could use for this, and I'm going to leave my screen share on only because my final example I'm going to include an image of my original character in case you've forgotten what he looks like. Okay, so example answers. Room 1. The tall white candle sits lower than the other two on the table. Wax has started to drip down the sides and onto the surface below. For many years, it has caused the mother of the house to worry endlessly about tiny hands reaching up to touch the flame. Yet there is something about sitting alone in that room late into the night and reading by candlelight. Room 2. Light crept into the bedroom, eliminating any possibility of going back to sleep. It illuminated the backpack on the floor, suggesting that the day be spent completing homework. Again, I'm going to kind of go back to that room really quickly since we're still on a screen share here so you can see the light kind of creeping in. So that's me describing the light there. Now, I didn't talk about the shadows or really the colors at all. And I did that intentionally because I want you guys to come up with something as well. And I don't want you to feel like you need to be limited to exactly what I'm saying. I want you to come up with your own material for these answers. So let's see. Next up, room number 3. The sound of water filling the sink drowned out the traffic from the street outside. Dishes began to clank against one another as hands submerged into the water. A lot of sounds happening there, but again, not the only sounds that could be happening in that room, in that kitchen, right? Many of you, if you go sit in your own kitchen, especially while people are in there, think about the different sounds happening in that kitchen, and that's something you could write about for that image. Room number 4. Why is the blue couch so dirty? I don't know if you guys could see it, but it looked like it was kind of dirty. Who reads the books in this room, right? What is the most important conversation that has happened in this room? Room number 5. The string of lights around the map makes me feel hopeful. Muted colors around the different countries are calming, and it makes me feel like any adventure is possible. Very easy, 2 simple sentences there, you guys, about this image. You could go even further if you wanted to, but this tells you how this image makes me feel. Now, finally, we're going to look at room number 6 again. Before I bring up the image of my character, who you can probably see below on the screen share. And the question for this is, what might your original character from previous exercises feel in this room? It has been decades since anyone set foot in Mom and Dad's old living room. The box television is covered in so much dust that I'm not sure it would work even if the electricity was turned on. Broken windows have exposed the couch they loved so much to all the elements, and Mom's china hutch barely stands. Still, the memories of their love echo in these forlorn walls. If only a broom and dustpan could turn back time. Now, I never come out in this answer and say my character feels sad, my character feels like reminiscent, my character feels disappointed that the house has gone to so much ruin. Instead, I use his thoughts about what he's seeing to describe his feelings. You can tell that he really wishes he could turn back time to see maybe his parents or the house in its happy state again. You can tell that he is kind of disappointed about the fact that the house is in so much disrepair. Um, and you can even tell that maybe he's a little bit disgusted by the dust in some ways. Um, and I never even have to come out and say that because we're hearing his thoughts. So you can come out and say, my character feels uncomfortable in this room, my character feels sad in this room. But remember that you have to do at least 3 to 5 sentences about how your character feels. So it might be better to instead describe your character's thoughts as they are looking at the room and use that to make your reader understand their feelings about that room. Okay, if you have any questions for me, um, my email address will be in the slide presentation for this lesson, along with the additional information about due dates for this assignment. It is due on Friday, April 9th by 11:59 p.m. So I will have virtual office hours on Wednesday from 3:35 to 4:35 p.m. and I'll put all of this information in Google Classroom for you guys, okay? This assignment will be worth 10 points, but it is very useful to you to be able to complete your assignment for next week, so I do encourage you to complete it. Okay, thank you guys so much. I hope you have a great week, and I'll see you again soon. Bye.